Hello. Thank you for such a beautiful presentation. I don't totally identify with the things I've been doing around my life. And thank you for the invitation, Dragoș, and giving me a little space to try to understand better, actually, what I am trying to research during my PhD years. I didn't want to go further into academia after I finished my master degree. I felt like I have to become an artist to understand more about how it is really to do things. The texts that I was given by the university were not too encouraging to me, so I did not have the feeling that I'm understanding the world better when I was reading those musicological texts. So I really went further as far as I could out of academia world, and I really wanted to become an artist. And this is what I've been doing since many years, 10 or 12 or I don't know how many years, until I rediscovered how people are writing nowadays. And I discovered this way of performative writing. So you are not just taking some informations, but you are really trying to talk about those informations in a more narrative, in a more personal way. And this performative writing, it's something that it happens a lot in sound studies nowadays. So reading those kind of books, so for example, I started with a book about sound walks, coordinated by Jacek Smolitsky, or another book by Elena Biserna, also on sound walking. I started from those books, and I suddenly had the feeling that I should try to go once again inside the academia, just because I found something new. I found something that resonates with me, this way of personal, performative writing that incorporates also academic information. Yeah. So this is why I started this PhD. I'm currently in the second year, and I'm actually the third year, but I'm still trying to understand what and why I am trying to write about these sound matters. What I'm interested in, it's this time period that stretches between the end of communism and the beginning of democracy. And I do have the feeling that in this time, something very deep changed inside our sound perception. And there is something that it's not really talked about, it's not researched, it's not addressed in terms of listening and in terms of sound. I still don't know precisely how to get inside the subject, but I will just share with you some of the feelings or the informations I don't know, the ideas that just I've been trying to build up to make my PhD papers. One point that made my attention or my sensibility, I don't know, it made me perceive something different, was the listening of some recordings of our family. And it was a big difference between what I was told about some persons and the way those persons were actually talking. So I guess in this gap between what we are told and what the actual sound is like, there is a reality that we don't usually address and we don't usually understand. It's like a very fragile territory that could be more conscious, perceived, and brought into our lives. And this is the sort of a territory, a very fragile and sensible territory that I discovered during the sound walks that I've been doing since many years. When you start a sound walk, it's like you make a step and you enter into a very fragile territory of sound. You are not anymore in just an ordinary space. You are just listening differently. So I have the feeling that when we are addressing those changes that might be unimportant, we could actually talk in a different way about history, about we personally or we as a society passed through in our recent past. So I would like you to close the eyes. I will just try to bring you with me in a sound walk. Yeah, we are trying to do this. I'm taking inspiration from the speakers from yesterday, from Mania Ristic, from Salome, from Holger Schulze. They all talked about this sensibility, this other meaning that places are carrying, this other meaning that sound could reveal to us. So just close the eyes, and I will try to bring you with me in a place that I'm trying to write about in my thesis. It's a place in Bucharest. It's the former Uranus area. And I will start by bringing you with me in a park in Bucharest. Maybe some of you know Izvor Park. It's just, it's an area for dogs, for children, for tourists. When I went there in spring, I felt like I'm a stranger to Bucharest. I was surrounded only by people that I did not know, by people that maybe they did not belong to that park also. So I was just sitting on a bench, and you can come with me in this place, and I'm just hearing very specific sounds, very natural sounds, people talking, the cars that are just passing on the street. There is a runner, there is somebody with bicycles. There are some pigeons around me. There is somebody coughing. I don't remember if there was wind, but maybe if I don't remember, there wasn't a wind in that day. So I'm just sitting there, and after some minutes, I take the path towards the Palace of the Parliament. I'm trying to make this walk as performative as I could. I'm just making sounds with the leaves, with the stones. I'm trying to enter into a very conscious state of listening while I'm walking towards the Palace of the Parliament. So you can do that with me also, you know? Can you imagine your steps, the stones, the sand, the earth? Maybe you're just doing some gestures, you know, you don't normally do. You just take the leaves, you make them sound. Somehow you make the space yours through this practice. And then we arrived together at the palace of the parliament. The soundscape is changing radically. Just go inside the garden. There are guards. There are many tourists. You hear many languages. If you go inside the palace, suddenly you're in a very resonant space. Also there, it's a queue. People are waiting to go inside the big building. And you enter. You have a guide that's telling you how the palace was built, about the materials, the marble, the textiles. You just go through very resonant spaces, empty spaces, really empty. And everybody is a stranger there. Nobody belongs to that place. We came there just because it's one of the biggest buildings in the world, if not the biggest building. And we are just passing through the halls, the big ballrooms. And the guide keeps telling us about the marble, about the wood, about the meters of the carpets, of the windows, of the doors. I have around me the sound of the group. It's a very, very international group. And you can be with me in this group. There are Germans, Swedish people, Americans, some Romanians. And there is just one moment when the guide tells some words about the people that were living there before the palace was built. Just a few words. Yeah, there were some houses here. They were destroyed. They were demolished. But now we have this palace, and that's all. The whole history of the place was just summed up in those words. Some people, some houses, and they are gone. So now, just come with me in the memory of the place, of how the life in Uranus was before the demolition, before this house of the parliament. And I've been listening to some of the interviews that were conducted by some other researchers. And I'm very thankful to Ioana Marinescu, for example, and to Uranus Acum team. They've given me access to the interviews that they've been doing for understanding how the life in Uranus was. And although those interviews are not really focusing on sound, they carry with them a very broad information about the life there, about how the soundscape in Uranus was. So we are just going through a tunnel, yeah? in the history, the deep history of the Palace of the Parliament. And we discover an area that lived through multiplicity. There were many houses, yeah? Many houses, many streets. There was a familiarity there. People were living inside this familiarity. They knew each other's voices. They knew each other's houses. If you passed through a street and you could see somebody inside the garden, you were stopping and talking to those people. You could hear the sound of the houses, the materials, the doors, the fences, the voices inside the houses. Somebody is talking about the fences, each one of them having its own design. And we could imagine that also the fences had their own sounds. So if you go with a finger through the fences, you can create a wonderful soundscape of the Uranus area. You hear the tram, you hear the gardens, there is somebody that's coming with the milk, there are the sounds of the beer factory, and before that, or in between that, there are the rumors about the demolition. And this is another layer of sound added to the actual life. Rumors are something that are also happening somewhere in the middle between what's real and what it's only imagination, fantasy. So there are those rumors, that they are just inflicting the lives of people living there. And those rumors went on for many years, I guess 10 years or so. And then there was the actual demolition that started taking place. So if you could imagine just the very brutal sound of demolition, the houses that were not demolished completely, they were just demolished so you could not live anymore inside them. And there is a beautiful memory of a woman who remembers that when she was when she saw the house starting to be demolished, she was only able to put some music on, just as a fight, So I give you just a little bit of music. It's not really needed that you can hear it well. It's just somewhere with us. And on this music, please add layers of sounds. Voices, houses. People that lived in this area they live now, if they managed to carry their lives further, I guess they live in a sort of sonorous exile. It's like you can never go back to your house. And your house doesn't mean only a building. It's a place. It's a sounding place. It's a resonant place. It's something that you cannot go back to anymore. And everything that was familiar to you, everything that had a meaning to you, also in terms of sound, it's not there anymore. And you cannot access it anymore. And I have the feeling that this exile, it just goes on through all your life. It might affect all your listenings. And everything is hidden, you know? If you go into the Palace of the Parliament, you just see those empty halls, those empty rooms. They are not done for people anymore. They are too big. You are invisible there. You don't count. You're not a resonant presence inside that building. You're just a stranger. And everything was replaced. All the meanings. So we are now, once again, with a group, with a very international group inside the Palace of the Parliament. And we go outside the building, into the big garden, just one garden. Before there were so many gardens, so many. Now you just have one sort of a garden. And if you go outside that garden, you only have one fence. And if you just take your finger or a stick or something that you might produce sound with, you will only produce one sound. And then you have the traffic. And if you go back with me on the bench in Parcul Izvor, we just end up our sound walk, listening to the pigeons, bicycles, the ice cream terraces. Yeah. This is what sound might do to us. And this is also one of the very few ways in which we can address sound and history and make space for these resonances inside our lives. So thank you. I don't know what to say anymore. Thank you.